You're standing in the emergency department of a hospital. It's later in the morning, and the day has been steady with very little action. Suddenly, a call comes in about an arriving code blue, cardiac arrest, and is being transported to the emergency department in an ambulance, and is only minutes away. Instantly, and without hesitation, nurses, medical assistants, and technicians spring into action to prepare to save a life. Hello, class. My name is Sabrina Barrow, and today I'll be telling you about the career of an emergency room RN. After doing some research, as well as shadowing RNs in the emergency room as an LVN student, I'm prepared to inform you of what a career as an emergency room RN entails, how to become an emergency room RN, and the advantages and disadvantages of the job. Now, as far as the duties and responsibilities of an emergency room RN goes, the list is endless. But to sum it up for you, the main responsibilities include performing patient assessments, checking vital signs and blood sugars, administering medications and IV fluids, and collecting lab samples such as urine, stool, and blood, to name a few. The emergency room RN is in direct contact with the patient's doctors and are responsible for updating the doctors on the patient's condition, as well as receiving and following doctor's orders. Now, the most important responsibility of the emergency room RN is to document anything and everything. As the famous saying goes in nursing school, if it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. Now, the average salary for an emergency room RN in California is roughly $82,000, but can range between $75,000 to $105,000. Now, of course, salary all depends on where you work, your level of education, whether you have an associate's degree or bachelor's degree, and your past experience in nursing, if you have any. Now, to become an RN to work in an emergency room, you must first graduate high school. Once you graduate high school and get a high school diploma or a GED, your next step is college, where you need to earn either an associate's degree in nursing or a bachelor's degree in nursing. Once you get your college degree, your next step is to take the state board exam, which is called the NCLEX RN exam. Once you take the board exam and you pass, congratulations, you're an RN and you're ready to work at the ER. Now, many hospitals and facilities over recent years have been prioritizing hiring nurses with bachelor's degrees, but are still willing to hire nurses with associate's degrees under the agreement that that nurse is going to continue their education and earn their bachelor's degree. Now for the advantages of working as an emergency room RN. The first one, job security and stable income. Across our country, for many years, emergency rooms and hospitals have experienced a shortage of nurses. So an RN who wants to pursue a career at an emergency room will have very little difficulty finding a job. Another advantage is being able to help people and literally saving lives, as well as educating the public on how to live a healthy lifestyle, educating the public on how to prevent diseases, and even how to live a long and healthy life with a disease. Now for the disadvantages. The main disadvantage is the risk for burnout. Many nurses in the emergency room work very long and strenuous hours, and on top of that, have to deal with physical and emotional stress. Another disadvantage is the risk for injury while on the job. The emergency room is very fast-paced and mistakes can happen. Nurses have a risk of obtaining needle stick injuries. Sometimes patients will come in who are aggressive, or patient family members will come in very upset and hurting the staff or other patients. Now, another disadvantage is the risk of losing licensure. As a licensed nurse, they are expected to be model citizens of society. Any mistake that happens on the job or outside of the job, such as being pulled over for a traffic violation or being arrested, could pose that nurse at risk of losing their license and ultimately ending their entire career. So that concludes the overview of the career for an emergency room RN, how to become an emergency room RN, and the job's advantages and disadvantages. It goes without saying, Working in an emergency room, you need to expect the unexpected and be willing to put in the hard work and the hours. I'd like to finish with a quote by Newt Gingrich that I find perfectly fitting for this career. Perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did. Thank you for listening.